Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello.
I am really excited. I'm here with an amazing group of people, individuals that I work with, but they're also my friends. So I'm really happy to introduce you to all of them today because they have an incredible behind the scenes role when it comes to SoHum, and it's very rare when actually anyone gets to meet them. And I just wanted to have this opportunity as we begin to talk about Thanksgiving and how do we get ready for Thanksgiving to also introduce all of you and to talk about the power of gathering. So if we may, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Cami, and I'm up at SoHum. So if you come to SoHum, you'll see me a lot around there.
There we go.
My name is Samir. I am both in the Asheville downtown area as well as SoHum as well. So you may catch me on the road in between.
And I'm Nandan. I definitely float up to SoHum, but I stay down in the Ayurveda listening room area along with the Asheville Yoga Center campus. So all over. So it's pretty awesome.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for introducing yourselves. And all of them play an instrumental role when it comes to whether it is before you arrive to SoHum, during the time that you're there with us, or even after. So it's good that you're getting to get to meet them and see who they are. That way you can get familiar with them. Now, if you can, I have Melinda, and Julie. If you wouldn't mind, just type where you're dialing from. And this is also a good opportunity to turn your cameras on. We'd love to see you. We love connecting with you. And that way we can just also give everyone an opportunity to dial in.
Quebec.
Yes.
And I think Julie's is in Raleigh or Asheville. I can't remember. I think it's Asheville.
Yeah. And I see Melinda. Thank you for turning your camera on. I appreciate you.
Melinda, Quebec City. Me and my wife went there. It's a beautiful city. We love that whole area.
Nice, nice. All right. Without any further ado, we will get started. As you know, I am Sandy. I am your Ayurvedic ambassador at SoHum Mountain Healing Resort. And we host these webinars on a monthly basis to bring you different content, different information that helps with your healing journey. And today we're focusing on the preparation that takes place before we go into the Thanksgiving week. And usually that week, or even the week during Thanksgiving, it becomes a little stressful for most people. Let's just be honest, right? It's the gathering, the planning, the cooking, just getting all together. Like, how do you guys feel Thanksgiving is like for you?
I find it a little stressful just because I'm surrounded by a bunch of really good cooks.
Uh-huh.
So I tend to overeat.
Okay.
And so like I end up going in there prepping like, okay, maybe take a little bit of a fasting a day before, but I go in pretty hard when it was Thanksgiving time for sure. So because I just like being around people, like what was it 2 years ago? We ended up having Thanksgiving, all of us. So that was pretty awesome. So just to be able to spend time with family.
Nice.
So I look forward to it. But it is
Nice.
a little stressful because you got to pick and choose what you're going to eat. A little stressful.
That's good. How about for you, Samir?
Yeah, no, I love Thanksgiving. Just from a history childhood component of it, that used to be a time where all of my extended family, so maybe like 40 or 50 people would come to our house,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So it was definitely like the family time. And then it kind of transitioned into like our spiritual community would get together during Thanksgiving. So it was always a time to really connect with each other's hearts, right? So I think that there's definitely a warmth associated with it. But there's definitely that, time that you need before to try to get to that point, right? To make sure that I'm settled mentally, can open up my heart, and also digest some food.
Oh, love
Yeah.
that. Obviously, the food time. How about for you, Cami?
I love just being around family. I think it's for me one of the times a year I get to be around my family. I live pretty far from my family, so it's nice to be able to go visit them or stay with my family here. And I think for me, like this because I'm the only girl in my family. I have all brothers. And so
Mhm.
like me and my mom are the only ones in the kitchen, like cooking, and my sister-in-law. And so it can be like a little stressful of coordinating like who's putting what dish in the oven and the timing and the whole thing. And then obviously my husband Samir goes and runs all the errands for us. So we always have a long list of when we forgot at the grocery store, and that's his duty. He's like designated to go run all the errands.
Okay.
But yeah, I love it. I love Thanksgiving. It's just, I think it's nice because there's not pressure of also like other holidays of like maybe giving gifts or anything like this. This is solely about coming together, celebrating family, being together, and celebrating just relationships in our life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, for me personally, I didn't grow up in the United States, so Thanksgiving wasn't a thing. I'm originally from Venezuela, so but my mom actually, she was raised here in the US, in Washington, D.C. So she grew up with that, and she brought it into our lives. And being in Venezuela and in having that tradition, it was just about getting together. With her, it was just like the time that she brought the family together. It was cooking. It was for sure a little bit stressful, just getting all the coordination. But what I really enjoyed, it was just everybody coming together and talking about gratitude and what were the things that we were grateful for. And that is just something that even now here at work, I find that we do it every day. Like we have meetings, and that gratitude, you don't have to wait until you have Thanksgiving. You don't have to wait. It's like Valentine's Day. Like a lot of people wait, don't wait until Valentine's Day to say I love you and to have all those things, right? So that is the purpose of this webinar today, is for us to talk about how can we be a little bit more intentional? Yes, getting together over the holidays, getting in, gathering and eating and having family members and friends get together is a beautiful thing. Can we be intentional about it? Can we set the intention of, if it is going to be stressful, perhaps checking out our nervous system and looking into what are the triggers? Like, is there a family member that triggers me more than others? And how can I perhaps be compassionate and bring love forward? Or all those things. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. And for now, Melinda, who had her camera on, Melinda, I'm going to select you. And if you can share out of our audience what your, oh, so sorry, my Wi-Fi connection is unstable. Got it.
Which is a very smart thing to do when your Wi-Fi goes down.
It's
a very-
the video off is
There we go.
absolutely perfect. No doubt about it. Continue.
Excellent job.
She's back. Ooh. And she's
Linda, you have the two IT guys here. That's what we were saying. Great job with that.
That's
excellent job.
That's
So-
right. Well, Melinda, maybe you don't have your camera on, but you can share, what does Thanksgiving mean to you, or how do you celebrate these gatherings and the holidays? If we can hear you, if you unmute yourself, if that works.
And maybe there's something unique in Canada, right? That you may be doing that may be in the same flavor of this.
We do not celebrate Thanksgiving, yeah. Is there any other holiday that you celebrate and get together like that?
Christmas.
yeah.
Is the big
that's
thing.
there.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So maybe during Christmas, like how does she go about creating gratitude or a
That's
space of
right.
gratitude? That could be pretty interesting.
Yeah. We celebrate in family. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Okay. Yeah. And all right. So let's talk now about from an Ayurvedic perspective. And I got Cami here, who is also an Ayurvedic practitioner. And what are some of the things that you would recommend from an Ayurvedic perspective, like to prepare for a holiday gathering?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many different things that you can do that are simple yet Ayurvedic. Talking about just like the mental mindset as you're going into a space, and if
Yeah.
you have people around that could cause that trigger for you, creating the space and actually doing just simple breath work. So what we call like the yogic breath, it's really about concentrating on bringing the breath to the belly button, then expanding the lungs, expanding the chest, so that you're really getting a full breath through the whole lungs. That will actually take you from your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, back into your parasympathetic nervous system. And so one, you're going to have a calmer response to the person that may be causing those triggers. And on the flip side, especially for like Thanksgiving, we want to be in our parasympathetic nervous system when we're taking in food, because then our body's actually able to absorb, assimilate that food, that nutrients in a healthy way, versus when we have that tightness, that fight or flight, I'm stressed about getting X, Y, and Z out of the oven, it can actually cause indigestion in us. So even something as simple as taking a breath, you know, because it might be a little hard to be like, hey, I need to shift my food, or I need to make sure that I'm, you know, taking this digestive herb, which all of those things are wonderful, but even just having a simple breath will help you with recentering as well as digestion.
I love that. I mean, those right there are great tips already, right? It's like, how do you prepare yourself? How do you get your nervous system, your digestion? How about you guys? Like, do you practice any of these Ayurvedic tips?
You know, I had another thing that I just occurred to me that I'm going to practice this year.
Okay.
Right. So I'll be.
That's setting up intention right there.
That's right.
Practice
Intention.
already.
That's it.
So this year I'm going to Fort Worth. I'm going to be able to hang out with 4 of my highly energetic nieces and nephews. Okay. So I need to start doing yoga and be a little more flexible.
Oh.
Right. Because they're going to be jumping on me. I want them to jump on me. I want us to wrestle. We want to do this. So I need to be fit for that. Right.
Totally.
So I need to start stretching. I need to start, you know, doing all these things just so I can really have a good, engaging, loving energy with the kids. Right. Because again, like Amy said, we don't get a chance to see them very often. And so this becomes an opportunity that we can create memories, right, for all ages.
I love that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that like an intention so you can be present there and just kind of?
Yeah, so I can be present. You know, whenever, let's say we're on the floor, usually I got bad hips and knees, right? And so that way I don't like hesitate. Oh, they're on the floor. Let me go engage with them, right? In this case, if I've like prepped my body a little bit, I know I want to engage. I want to be part of their lives, then I can do things today. So that way I don't hesitate during those times, right? I mean, I'm getting older and they're getting older too, but they're just getting older slower than I am. And so it's just trying to figure that out, right? So I'm just wanted to prep to kind of engage with their lives and just be part of their lives for the days that I've got.
What I love about everything you just said is like you're putting intentionality on how you want to show up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not only the expectation of I'm going to get together with all these individuals, but what can I do? You know, and instead of putting it on everybody else, I want to show up this way. I want to be sure that I can enjoy their company. I want to make sure that I'm flexible and that I can do. Now, whether you ended up doing it all before you get there, that's a different story. But
I believe in Samir. I know Samir is going to do it.
All right, you keep me posted.
Yeah, I'll keep posted.
I believe in Samir.
I believe in you.
You do, I know.
Okay. How about you, Nandan?
I think this year at least, so it's just gonna be my wife and I, Nishita. So she's this amazing cook that spends a lot of time just creating these beautiful meals. And so I think the big thing for me this year is just more of similar to what you're doing, just being present with her and just kind of helping out where I can. And typically I'm in the way, and so I normally get pushed out of the way. But this time I'm going to try to keep up and just be a helping hand and just be more present. I think that's the biggest thing, and just how to use that time to have good conversations, have just be present for her and just be more giving. So
Nice.
Wow.
so
Yeah. Nice intention. Beautiful. Is there anyone watching that would like to share? What is your intention? How are you going to be preparing yourself? And you can unmute yourself. You can turn your camera on. Remember, we're here in family, and you're also welcome to share it within the chat. For me, particularly, let me think. So because we moved to Asheville 3 years ago, and we haven't really had the opportunity to have a celebration, I think this time it would be more so about wanting to get together, you know, and being able to just share and spend time intentionally with all of my friends that are around, and just having that opportunity just to sit down and laugh and have fun and cook together and allow each other just to not necessarily to be so rigid about like, I'm cooking this, I'm cooking, but the flexibility and the flow. Like in the past, I feel that whenever it's time for a holiday, it's usually like everything is so planned and so perfect. I think I'm learning as I'm getting older that actually the flexibility and the flow is better for me, as opposed to trying to just manage everything. It's just like, yeah, let's just get together, let's talk, let's share. And I see some of the comments here. Let's see, Melinda. All right. To contribute to the conversation with the means I have access to right now, I notice when I am in good company and I have wonderful time, digestion is good, even if the Ayurvedic principles are not fully respected. When I was a child, we used to eat at midnight. Wow, okay. I used to eat at midnight. Where did I go? On Christmas Eve. And we do not do this anymore on my family, but we do eat heavy meals late at night. But when joy is present, digestion is usually good. My intention is to fully enjoy this exceptional moment. Oh my God, a round of applause for that. So 2 things you did here, Melinda. One, you had a time for reflection. It allowed you to look back and take a look at how your experiences have been, and also to think through how do you want it, similar to what Samir did, that reflection of how am I in front of my family members. And you said, I agree on the beauty of flexibility. It's just, yeah, I personally feel that whenever I was too just disciplined or too strict about things, it brought so much stress for me as well as stress for others. And it's just like, there's no need for that.
Yeah, what's very interesting, which what Linda you said was that joy, was there to help digest, right? So initially I'm like, okay, digest food, but man, joy digests emotion to a high level, right? So especially with relatives and you're interacting with human beings, and that could be there. So that's just such a key ingredient, joy, to be brought into that environment.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
From a practitioner perspective, like I know we talk a lot about it, like in Ayurveda, like herbs and like the ginger pickle or khichdi, but like I know you've seen people at SoHum where just being around, they start like individual areas and then towards the end of the week they're kind of in communal. Like there's something there, right? Not just like they just take the herbs and that's it, but there's this communal component that probably helps with digestion and everything, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, having that joy around you. And again, it kind of goes back to what I was kind of talking about with like the parasympathetic nervous system, having that joy, having calmness, just having love and kindness, all those beautiful things around you. Like your body is nourished in so many different levels. And so you're able to be calmly taking things in, even though the conversation may be like boisterous, you might be laughing and things like that, but there's still an underlining of like this love and joy and calmness that your body is in that state. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Versus kind of like in the hectic day-to-day life or, that kind of stuff. So I think it's a huge component is our intention, and also that there's so much love that gets put into like the meals during this time too, like the intention that we actually cook with in the food feels those properties taking in, right? So if I'm having like a really stressed timelined thing and that doesn't work for me and my personality, and so that makes me more stressed, then I'm cooking with and I'm putting that in the food, versus if I'm just like, my family is very flexible, very go with the flow kind of people, and so there's a comment like, oh, if it doesn't work out, it's fine, or we'll just do this instead. And having that kind of like joy and not allowing like rigidity to be around it, then that rigidity isn't also, the energy isn't put into the food.
That's pretty cool. Because
yeah.
like you have a lot of people that are super rigid on it being displayed a certain way or cooked a certain way. It's like it's 1 degree off, but you kind of miss out on what you take away from here. You lose out on the love that just went into it. It's now more anger or the high pitted that just went in.
Well, and if you think about 100%, and if you think about, you talk to like a lot of people, like, and I feel like, I've been lucky to be around some very talented chefs and just any really good cooks. A lot of the times you'll talk to them and their favorite food comes from their mom. Why does it come from their mom? Because their mom puts
The
so much love
the
into the
love.
food. It's not that it's like
Oh, yeah.
their mom's dish isn't going to beat them, you know, when if they went to a cooking contest. Like, I mean, no offense to their mom, but like, you know what I mean? Like they're like high level chefs, but it's the love and it's that nurturing that really we feel for
Yeah.
sure.
And if we actually go back and look at, you know, the tribes and how they used to cook, and we kind of lost that when we went into either eating processed foods where it's already being cooked and processed, or even the meaning of that gathering, right? From the time that way before you even buy those produce, you know, someone went and planted that seed for that tree to grow or for that herb to just come alive, and then for it to make it all the way to your kitchen. Once it is in the kitchen, and going back to what I was saying with the tribes, they used to get together and sing, you know, and singing was a big part of cooking. And also the matriarchs, the older generations within the families used to share stories. And those stories were not only stories of wisdoms that were passed on generation by generation, but they also took the opportunity to do their teachings. So they didn't have a school setting. They didn't go to school, but they learned from their ancestors, from their family traditions and that lineage that was passed on. And I do believe that a lot of families are trying to readopt that now again. And it goes back to being more intentional, to being more, and that is why we're having this webinar. It's like, what are some of those things that we can bring from prior generations before us and bring it back into nowadays, into our traditions?
Do you feel like there needs to be a little bit of patience going from this hyper independent to now this like kind of multi-generational thing that you kind of have to give yourself a little bit of grace? It's not going to be perfect the first couple of times.
Absolutely. And going back to that flexibility, right? It's like maybe the first time that you're hosting Thanksgiving, yes, it is stressful. Like you're trying to organize, everything needs to be perfect. Like you want all the dishes.
And Uncle Jim says something really
Right. But then you get to a point that you just, that flexibility does help, that mindfulness of just letting go. You know, it's a time of gathering, it's a time of gratefulness, it's a time of just revitalizing all those generational traditions, if you will, right? And I see a new face here. Thank you for turning your camera on. Would you mind unmuting yourself and just sharing with us what does a gathering and eating together mean to you?
You talking about
Yes.
me?
Yes, please,
Yeah.
Deborah, continue.
Sorry, I was a little bit late.
No worries.
I'm drawn to this topic because I have such fond memories of family together, and my family has, a lot of them have passed on at this point. And so we have friends coming and children that are the next generations. And it feels like tradition, and it feels I want to really be present in a way I wasn't when I was younger. I didn't realize how valuable this time is. So yeah.
I love that.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there is the traditions, right? And the intentionality. There is also the meaning and the energy that we put into the food. And that is actually very real. And that could be either for something that we're preparing for ourselves, that we're about to eat, or that we're preparing for others. And in many traditions, especially in the indigenous traditions, they truly believe that that energy is not only passed when we're gathering the meal, gathering the food, and preparing it. The love that we put into it, the energy that we put, if we are not centered, if we are not in a good place, that energy is being passed on. And then all the individuals that will eat it will then receive that. So that takes our thinking about food even beyond of just eating food or just preparing the food. What are your thoughts about that?
You know, I think it's absolutely right. You know, like you said, like whenever there's even before the sing during cooking of the food, right? Like that joy, that energy, it penetrates, right? Because we're all we're all like 99% really the same elements, right? So
Mhm.
anything that's happening is happening to us, around us, and including the food. So, whether it's like, you know, I've been where I've actually made food that's like in spite. Oh gosh, like I gotta make this food because X and what didn't happen and that didn't happen, right?
Mhm.
And I can see like sometimes I'll just have indigestion, like physical indigestion, right? And so, it'd be very interesting to see how many people have got indigestion at the end of a Thanksgiving meal, right? Or, just to kind of gauge the love that was put in,
We're
right?
not proposing that you do this on purpose and say like, oh, this is true, like,
Yeah, but no, it's absolutely true. Like it just we're all so connected with our environment that our heart is even that much more connected to the food and that we pass on to others.
Yeah, for sure. How
Yeah.
about you, Nandan? Any thoughts around that?
Well, like at least in the herb room at SoHum, but then also at the Ayurvedic Institute, a big part when we're mixing the herbs together, we go in a clockwise direction, and everyone, it's part of our standard operating procedures that they just send in good vibes into it. There's two reasons. One, you're just super present with the herbs that are there, but also you're just sending in good vibes, and those herbs actually receive it because they have consciousness. And so I can totally see it from like in the food preparation when someone's even that intimate with it, where they're creating some sort of creation. It's totally there for sure. So it's something that we do. And actually, my dad was also telling me back in Mumbai, there's this dairy farm, Parsi dairy farm, where they'll play like what's it, like different Krishna like rags in there. And so the cows just hear this the whole time, and he was like, it's really good milk, and so it's like, I think this thing has just been over the years, and it's just something that I think we all firmly believe in, that putting good energy into the things is it's a huge deal. So
Yeah, yeah. And I know at SoHum, and you can talk a little bit more about that, but our chef, like we absolutely love the chef at SoHum and how intentional he is, whether he's planting something or whether he's gathering it and bringing it to the kitchen, and the way that he talks about the food, the meaning, the energy that each of the plants or the herbs have. It's like all this is alive. Everything has energy. Even a rock has energy. So really connecting with nature, connecting with everything that we're doing and everything. What would you say that has been one thing that you've learned from Chef that you're like, wow, the way that he connects with food?
One of the things that it's not necessarily that I learned from him, but one of the things that I love the most about being around him, around food, is his excitement. And it's very like the excitement comes from wanting to take care of people. And this is how he takes care of people. And he wants them to live their best life. And so it really comes from like he will stay up and research things and go like understand all the new things that are coming out about something as as we evolve in understanding, and bring that in and bring in different backgrounds of like modalities that he's studied and how it's similar. So I feel like there's so many similarities in a lot of traditions, and like how can that come in. So it's more about just like the excitement of taking care of people, that I think it's, again, not necessarily that I learned from him, but one of the things that I love the most being around, because his thing is, I will always make sure people are fed. Like even when Hurricane Helene hit here, he took a couple days, he went home, kind of like regrouped, and then was back in like less than a week. And as soon as he walked through the door, he's like, I need to start cooking for people. I need to start taking care of people. Like they don't have access to, food right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not able to do that. And so how do I make sure that happens? And then he started serving, and then got with a different local restaurant, and like they would do every other days to take care of the community. So that's just so much who he is as an individual.
Yeah, and I think during that time, just himself preparing those foods, I think it was thousands of people a week that he was feeding during that
And it
time
was
period.
him.
And so yeah, it was him and his intention that really came through.
Yeah.
And I've seen also like, SoHum, as you guys, are more familiar with it, but there's usually a meeting that happens of like just understanding the guests that are coming in that next week, right? And because that way the whole team can kind of be in sync with those guests that are coming in. And so, not everybody's the same, and there'll be a special case where we're like, oh, we haven't come across that before. And chef is always there in terms of like, oh, let me figure that out. Let me do this research and let me test this out beforehand. I mean, I have amazing taster food. I love it when that happens, because I get a little bit of that, right? And so, but that's something that's, that unique guest, that comes to us is actually a blessing for us, because we get to really experiment and research and find out how we can take care of just another person that normally may not have been able to be taken care of.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And just that reminder that, moments like this is about gratitude, like what Chef did and got us all together to do, to give to the community. Once again, it doesn't have to be on Valentine's, doesn't have to be on Thanksgiving, but we can give to our community at any point in time. We can give to our loved ones, friends, and family members at any time. Is that gesture. And usually food, it speaks love. It's like that's the one place, that and music. I feel that whenever you listen to music, it brings people together. Whenever you cook, it brings people together, right? So just think about what are some of those moments from now until the end of the year, not just Thanksgiving, where you perhaps can think about what can you create for others? What can you bring to others? And don't wait until Thanksgiving. Like you can just go buy something, make it at home, and just bring it to a homeless person. In fact, I had a tradition with my mom, and speaking about traditions, Thanksgiving, when she was alive, we used to live in DC, we used to go to a women's shelter. And at that time, it was about us cooking for them. And that is the way that my mom and I used to celebrate Thanksgiving. It was cooking for others and giving that to this women's shelter. Likewise, for Christmas, after many, many years, my husband and I moved to Boca Raton, Florida. And I wanted to teach my son the art of giving. And we went, I was born and raised Catholic, but I found this Jewish synagogue, I guess. And what they did, because they didn't celebrate Christmas, we got together, we all started packing gifts and gave it to all the communities around that they didn't have the opportunity to get a gift. And that was on Christmas Day. We would all get together, pack gifts, and then go in a truck and give them to the different houses. And it was a great time because I brought all my friends and I taught my son the art of giving. So once again, like you don't have to wait for moments like that. It can be at any point in time. Now, we're going to shift here a little bit, and we're going to talk about now, what do we do when we have a plate in front of us? This is something really important when it comes to, from an Ayurvedic perspective, is like, sometimes we see the food in front, or we're about to put this food on our plate and we're like, I want this, and put a bunch of stuff that it's obviously delicious. But once again, how can we bring that intentionality, right? As to thinking about what sits well within my body without getting my body out of balance. Sometimes there's certain foods that I know when I eat them, they don't serve me well, right? So can we begin to think about, as we're going into the season where we eat, what are the things that help me feel better, think better, not only physically, but also emotionally? There's some foods that, I don't know if you notice, but after you eat them, maybe you get sleepy or you get tired quickly. So what are your thoughts about, like, how are you going to approach that meal?
Yeah. So I love Thanksgiving, and I feel like there's also a grace in allowing yourself on like those fun holidays, and you have all the food in front of you that you love and that you've been looking forward to all year. I mean, like, how often do you have like sweet potatoes with like marshmallow? Like never. Like nobody's gonna ever have that any other time of year. So like I think it's okay to also not judge yourself to have that either. I think there's also
Enjoy it.
a way to enjoy it. There's not a judgment to it. Maybe instead of having 3 of them, maybe maybe just like have one, but maybe you want 3, that's okay too. But I think it's not having the judgment of having it and being able, like taking a little and then listening to the body, like understand that, hey, I am actually like full right now, so I don't need to go back for like my second round of plate and things like that, and that's okay too. The beautiful thing about Thanksgiving is it lasts for several days because we always make
That's
too
right.
much food. But yeah, so I think it's okay to like take the smaller portion, listen to the body, and if there's something you're really excited about having, allow yourself to have it. You know, don't have the judgment against not having it.
Yeah.
On a side note, a great thing to help with that digestion, really easy you can do is before or after meal, it's just do ginger tea. Like that's going to get your agni going to help digest pre-meal. And then also post-meal, it's going to help with like just processing that food. So like, you know, even like a simple thing like that really does help when you're like digesting the food. And if you throw down like Nandan, he's going to have 4 plates.
I was like, don't take away my sweet potatoes.
He's very skinny, but he can eat like nobody's business. So,
And you gotta have the marshmallows.
yeah, exactly.
No, I was a
exactly.
little offended. I was like, you go from 3 to 1? Like, don't tell Nishida, please.
Exactly.
Nandan's favorite phrase during Thanksgiving. Are you gonna finish that?
See, I don't like wasting things. I think that's the bigger thing, you know? Like it's the biggest part.
Yeah. And thinking about the judgment, sorry, I just want to make sure.
I'm like threw a judgment at it.
Judgment is a feeling, and whether you have it before you eat, during, or after, that's also not only mental, but it's also affecting you physically. So just making sure that give yourself some grace. You are allowed to have the sweet potatoes with marshmallows and extra sugar, but also not getting to that point where you're now judging yourself for days. Why did I eat this? And then you're not feeling well because your mind is all into it and your body's feeling it. So just give yourself some grace, have whatever you're gonna have, and then just start again eating healthy. You know, it's like reality is we're humans and we're living a human experience, and we gotta be okay with that too, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Nandu, I was gonna pass it on to you.
Oh no.
The 5 plates?
I mean, I think I just eat whatever. I think there's a certain component where you're just not judging yourself and
Yeah.
just going into it with accepting what's in front of you. I think a lot of us should be grateful that we have so much food or whatever that's in front of you, just to be able to be. I think that has a certain amount of gratitude as well. But yeah, I think that's one. There's a lot of gratitude that I have towards Dr. Lai, just to kind of like how you approach as a practitioner, or like that paradigm is just accepting and not being so rigid. I think that component it was just kind of occurring when you were talking. It was like, man, that is Dr. Lai through and through, where it's just like, okay, dear. And I think there's a side to it where it's like, if I'm eating my third potato with marshmallows, just to have that like be the inner Dr. Lai and be like, okay, dear, are you sure you want that third one? And then just have a little bit of that conversation, I think goes a long way. And I quite frankly, I've been trying that and it's been working pretty well. So, but
Your conversations with Dr. Law.
I have a conversation with myself, which can be weird on so many levels, but yeah. No, but it's, I think just having that conversation with yourself, saying like, and just being graceful with it. I think it's always an important thing. And I don't think it's coming from a place of like weakness where just
Not
like,
at all.
I think there's a strength to be able to say like, okay, this is what's there right in front of me, and this is what I'm going to do to work around it. I think people do that in sports, business. It's a known thing. You can't just be super rigid about it. So
Sure. And likewise, I mean, it takes a strength too to take a look at the plate and also connect with your body and say, okay, I'm full. You know, I cannot tell you how many times I've eaten. I knew I was full, but I just had to go and had to keep going and going and going. And he's like, it takes strength, but it's not because of being rigid. It's because you're getting to know your own body. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, one thing that I absolutely love is how we teach to learn, you know, to know your body, to listen to those signs, because they're there for a reason. You know, it's your gut instinct, it's your own metabolism that is talking to you. The thing is, we keep ignoring it. We tuck it under the rug. And that is how eventually diseases begin to develop. So if we're just more in touch and not looking at, like you said, as a weakness, but you know what? I'm kind of full right now. Maybe I'll revisit. I went to lunch the other day with your sister, and your sister, she was like, I just need to take a break right now. And I was like, that takes strength. I have pizza in front of me, and I'm like, I gotta keep eating it. And she's like, no, that pause, it's just like knowing that you're working through your digestion, you're listening to your body, it's just being a little more in touch. What do you think about that?
But what happens if like Aunt Susie Sue,
Yeah.
well, like at least for my mom, she's like, you don't like my food? Only took 2 servings? Like what do you do in that component when that happens, when you get that a little
I would do what your sister did. I love your food. I just need to take a little pause.
there you go.
And then find out if it's really hunger or if you're just going through the motions. Like it's just like putting the fork into your mouth constantly, like just connecting, just feeling it, right?
And then using the brain power just to maneuver through the situation.
I guess.
Yeah,
I haven't tried it, so I'll let you
And I
know.
think there's like a couple like small tricks that you can do like to kind of pace out your eating, because I think it's like so easy for me to just kind of like keep going. Like I love this. I'm just keep putting it in my mouth, and then by the end of it, like I feel terrible because I'm like I really did need that full plate of food. So I think there are a couple of things. Like for me, there was a lot of like rewiring of my brain because growing up, my parents would be like, you have to finish your plate because, you're kids, you're picky eating, you're not getting enough nutrients. So like rewiring, I don't have to finish my plate. Obviously being respectful to Aunt
You're an
Susie
adult.
too,
You can do
but
whatever you want.
No, but also like when you take a bite, you can actually like put the fork down or the spoon down while you're chewing.
Oh,
And like, there's different things about like how many times you chew, which is great if you can chew like more times to really like emulsify the food so it digests better. So that's great too. But even if you don't want to like count how many times you're chewing because you're trying to be engaged in conversation, but even just like placing the silverware down, because what happens for me personally is I'll just like, it's like a shovel, And so then, but if I put it down, I will pause the shovel and then I actually can see like, oh, I do feel full. And so like that allows a natural pause between each bite to see like how much food. And then I actually get surprised. I'm like, oh, I actually don't need that much food to feel full. But if I am shoveling it in, I don't pay attention to my full point. And that's where I'm starting to, overeat. It's kind of like that classic Japanese saying, like you want to have like what is it? Like 1/4 or 1/3 of the belly, like not full so that it can digest. So you want to have a little bit of that gap. But yeah, just like placing down the silverware between bites is actually really helpful to.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't practice that today. And I think that would be, to your point, setting your intention, that would probably be mine. Like, can I put the fork down? Yeah.
I'm about multiple plates. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't get this figure for a reason, So, but I tell you, I'm gonna change it around. How about that?
Let's do it.
All right.
Multiple small plates.
I'm gonna get big plates. I'm just not gonna fill it up.
You're going chewy size.
Yeah, I'm going big plate, but I'm gonna do it in phases this time.
Okay.
I'm gonna do some fiber salad type stuff before. This is my game plan.
Okay.
Planning, right?
Okay.
And then take a little break.
I love that, because for all the guys that may be watching, they're also like planners like that. Like they're thinking.
Was when we watch a football. Come on, give me a break, right?
That's
so
right.
during football, it's gonna be like your mind is focused on the TV.
It's the shovel.
And you don't know what this little can is doing.
It's just going.
Yeah, like you don't know what's going on over here, right?
right.
So,
And whether there's a touchdown or no touchdown, you're so like you're happy or you're sad, you're gonna eat.
yeah, exactly. So,
Depression.
my idea is multiple plates,
Okay.
multiple trips to the table.
Multiple.
Okay.
Okay.
But every time, just taking a little bit of time.
Okay.
So pace myself throughout, right?
Okay.
And so that's kind of my game plan for this year. And what I realized in my life is that connection between digestion, signal and my brain, it's like on dial-up speed, guys. I didn't realize that it's so slow, right? So now that I've realized, initially I'm like, oh, I'm not full, like Cami was saying, right? I just have to realize, oh, I'm on AOL still, right? Like, it's going real slow for me to realize I'm full. So I'm going to do multiple plates. I'm going to do a little bit on each plate, and I'm going to let it last the entire day if I need to.
Oh, that's a beautiful celebration.
Yeah.
It's like just letting it last,
Yeah.
right?
And I was gonna say before we move on from that thought, because
You're gonna ask about who knows AOL, right?
No, no, no.
Okay.
But-
Who knows AOL?
what you were slightly getting into, I think is actually really good also from just like kind of thinking it through an intention and also the strategy. But do you want to talk about like the fiber, like, you know, how like just a little bit of like how
Well,
you like to eat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning, right? So as I just turned an age, right, which I need to focus more on my health, right? And so with that, I've been kind of just gauging more about my sugar levels, right?
Okay.
And I realized that the crash afterwards, I may not be able to hang out with the nephews and nieces if I'm tired or need to take a nap or fall asleep during the overtime portion of the football game, right? These are things I don't want, right? So what I've realized is that by having more of the fibrous aspects of my meal earlier on, then the portion that's got more of the carb aspects that really kind of spike my insulin or my sugars, it just tapers it down, right? So it's kind of like putting some fiber around those carbs and really just kind of it'll help neutralize and normalize that energy level throughout the day, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to outlast these kids this year. You know, like I'm just going to do it. I'm determined. They're going to go take a nap before I am.
So next month, Samir will report out. So come back.
We'll have a post-Thanksgiving webinar.
Yes,
a
How's that?
recap.
All four of
And I'll
us.
show the pictures of Samir crashed.
I may have a different game plan for Christmas.
Which you are okay to do. We are all always reinventing ourselves, right? Now, I see here Melinda mentioned something that is very typical, and you alluded to that as well, Nandan, which is that family pressure or the social pressure, right? Like we are in an environment where unfortunately everybody has an opinion and we listen to the opinions, but when it comes to your health, and here, let's just make a few recommendations for you here, Melinda. When you are taking care of your health, nothing else takes priority. You are really caring for this amazing, beautiful human body that you were given to come through this life. This is your vehicle. This is what is taking you. This is your vessel. So at any point in time, if you're having a meal and you're feeling the pressure, like you gotta eat this, or I made it for you, like you didn't like my cooking, you can very easily say without feeling guilty, right at this moment, I can't eat that, or I am trying to take care of myself. I'm trying to take care of my health. I think anyone in your family or in your circle that you tell them that, they will see that as an inspiration, you know, as opposed to judgment. And if there is judgment, let them be. Like, don't listen. Like, your health is the most important thing that you need to take care of. Obviously, being respectful, like maybe you can come up with some creative ideas as to.
I have some strategies on that.
You do go for it.
So no, I think everything that Sandy said is beautiful. So my other half of my family is all Indian, and so a really big thing is around it's
Because of me.
but is and maybe not so much your mom, but I've been around other moms that are this way. Because how they show love is by giving food and eating food, which I think is very similar to probably the Italian culture.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to let you know my secret strategy that I do is I leave portions. So you still take everything,
That's
but I
right.
leave the portions on the plate because as soon as that portion is gone, another portion is coming back in of that same thing, of the same amount or more.
It's like reincarnation.
So I leave like I leave portion amounts, and then I'll just be like, oh, I'm just eating slowly or something like that. And it might be the portion that I'll end the meal with, but I'll eat it slower so that I don't get like the re-ups of the portion. Because we have a very close family friend that is known for this. Is like she'll like as soon as it seems like a little bit low, plop on like a whole third serving on you. And so if you keep a portion on it, you'll not get that another
Smart.
I think
So
Melinda has to
that's-
go, and we had to do a strategy.
Yeah,
I think
that's
I
a new
think
strategy. If
You
we're
have to
women's
have a
group.
strategy going
Yeah.
into this. It's
I
like you're
love
going
that.
into
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Melinda, how do you currently work through that? I will try that, she
Yeah.
said.
I hope it works for you.
So Melinda, how do you currently work through that, if you want to share? I must say I gave up.
Don't give up.
Don't give
Don't
up.
give up.
But I get it too. It's okay to give up. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure. You know?
I say you can lie.
Mhm.
You can be like, I already had 4 servings.
I
of
lie,
this."
100%.
I'm not just. I know. I'm not that.
No, I think
I
you
shouldn't
should.
be on
I
this
say like this is my
podcast 'cause I'm a
4th
goddamn
serving.
idiot,
This
okay,
is
guys?
where the webinar has gone.
Right. But sometimes I'm like, I already had it 3 times, or I got diarrhea. You know, like. But I'm joking about lying. You don't want to do that because we're here to build relationships.
No, but I think you can.
That's
I think
right.
You can lie. Right, this may be going to. You can lie to build a relationship, right? Like,
Okay.
Oh,
and here, this is where I'll go with this. All right. Back when we were growing up, Mitesh's mom was like the enforcer. Like we all grew up together, and Mitesh's mom was the enforcer. If you didn't finish your plate, it was game over. But she's like 5 foot on a good day, and I'm 6'3". So what I would do, I was always walk around with my plate higher. So then she wouldn't see what's on my plate. And so I think there are certain things that you got to do just to kind of like, I just stopped eating fruits at the end of the meal. Yeah, you got to maybe do a little bit of things here and there, or maybe find what she's really like proud about and then eat that and maybe take 3 servings of that. So there's a component of like, I think being there for yourself, but I think it also goes back to like, what are the people that are around you? What are they going to appreciate the most of? And then you just kind of play the game a little bit. So like, I know if my mom made my favorite, mixed vegetable, I'm definitely going to eat that, and then maybe do the rotis a little bit as a secondary. She doesn't really care if I eat the rotis or not, so maybe just overdo it on the mixed vegetable. And just kind of, I think it's just a way for me to express to her, my mom or whoever, even the aunties that make the meals, like it's just a way for me to like give thanks to that. But then also I've also seen like if you call out like, oh, like what. Melinda, what's your your partner's mother's name?
You can make it up if you like.
Let's make it up. Daniela.
Daniela.
You just be like, Daniela, did you put cardamom in this? Girl, this is the best dish I've ever heard in my life. And so like when you pull out like different things, I feel like that kind of adds to the component where they feel like you've paid attention to the food.
Yeah.
And that you're giving honors to like the very nuances of it. And I think that's a whole thing where I feel like it just, yeah. I've seen my spiritual teacher do it a lot, and it's pretty magical.
And that is actually a perfect segue to the next, which is how do we actually enjoy the meal through all of our different senses, right? So to your point, or what I was saying also before, like sometimes we're just eating, where yes, it's lovely to have the conversations and to eat, but are we paying attention to the senses? Like, are we feeding our soul through our eyes? Not only our stomach through the food that we're putting in our mouth. Are we using our sense of a smell? Like, are we actually taking the time to just smell every fragrance that we have in front of us? We're going to smell a lot of cinnamon, a lot of apple, a lot of all those things, like, and they have a different effect in our physiology. They have a different effect in our mental health. So where are some of the things that you do or that you can do intentionally going into this holiday season and using all your senses?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's interesting to talk about like the all 5 senses, and it depends on like obviously the style of food, but I love like when you're eating like Indian food, you actually eat with your hands, you feel the food, you touch the food, which is really cool. In our culture, it isn't necessarily what you would do. So I love like that, but I think for like this holiday purposes, so we actually are fortunate that you know, my family is pretty diverse when it comes to some cultural backgrounds of like different in-laws that we've brought into the family. I don't know. Moving on. But so we're actually having really fun, like everyone's like kind of bringing different things from their background, their cultural background. And my family's making Texas barbecue, which I was like, I don't think that counts, but in my parents' mind, that is a cultural background for them. But yeah, so we're gonna have all these different foods, which is cool because I think it's fun for us that there are different ways of eating it. And so there will be like several dishes that we're actually eating with our hands. So for us, it's a little unique in that we'll have that experience to engage it in that way.
Yeah.
But I love what like Nandan was saying, like even if whatever I'm eating, like try to think of like what ingredients are in here, because that also will take the time of like chewing and taking the time of it being in your mouth versus just kind of going to the next bite. So that might be like a fun experiment to do, is to see like, oh, I wonder what ingredients are in this dish, and try to like see if your palate can pick it up. That might be a fun
Even
one.
our tongue, like the places where the spots, the sensory spots are within our tongue, like you absorb the sugary ones in one place, the astringent ones in another, like really paying attention to those flavors and just like taking the time to breathe it in and just allowing it to get to your digestion. Maybe even saying a gratitude, like, thank you for all this beautiful meal that I'm getting in, and just like the nutrients that are going into my body, the vitamins and the minerals. Because your digestion is the digestive fire. And that is the purpose of it. It's like once you put that meal in, your digestive fire is doing the work behind the scenes. Like we don't pay attention when our heart is beating or when our lungs are expanding, but when we do, sending that love and that gratitude also to our body and to our organs, right? How about you guys? Like, how do you use all your senses?
Yeah.
I'm debating whether to ask the question or not.
So one thing, this may be during like the meal, like prep time, right? But the sizzling of like a bread on a, like on a hot plate, that's being cooked, whether it's a roti or a bhakri, or even a burger patty, or a veggie
Texas
patty or
toast.
something like that. Like there's so much of that actually is there, or like the spoon clinging whenever you're mixing the mashed potatoes, right? Or the KitchenAid going click 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 click.
Yeah.
Like these are all just activities, right? It's almost like a symphony going on in the kitchen
Orchestra,
whenever
yeah.
there's a lot of like conductors, right? Whether it's Cami and her mom, and just like these things are going on. It's fun because there's also music going on at the same time, right? And so what I've heard also is that like you said, sound and smell and touch kind of brings that nostalgia back into life, right? Of that the innocence of the childhood, or the innocence of just exploring and just in wow, and so I think that's also a time that we can hear the food.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we
And,
can hear the food. That is, I love that.
Yeah.
While you were talking, I mean, like it kind of made sense, like the symphony of everything, because what could be noise and annoyance, like if you just kind of like listen to it, it has its own kind of vibe to it, which is pretty cool. Like I'm a big fan of Metallica, which I think a lot of people find that very noisy. But if you kind of like live into it a little, you kind of see the thing that plays around it. So I think I can totally connect with what you're saying, where it's just like just listen to it and try to find the essence of it, and it'll kind of speak itself. So.
Yeah. Just thinking through all that coordination, everything that it takes, plays behind the scenes. And, it makes me remember SoHum when we are at the kitchen, and it's like you have everyone there just pouring their love into the food. In fact, for the week of Thanksgiving, we're completely full, and it's just so beautiful to see that even during the holidays, like there is no right or wrong time to do something that is to take care of yourself. And that gratitude should go towards yourself too. It's not only about giving and a yes, all that takes place, but looking at what does my body need? How can I take better care of my body? And when are the best times to do that? Like there is not necessarily just one specific time. And the fact that people are coming to SoHum during Thanksgiving is like, it doesn't have to be this secluded moment that I'm in a particular place with particular number of individuals, but it's more so that consciousness and that awareness of, I'm going to take care of my body at this time of the year, which usually we're doing quite the opposite. We're just eating a lot, we're partying a lot. Some of us may be drinking. It's like, no, it's like, can you take the time to reflect, to introspect, to take care of yourself? And yes, absolutely, you can, So with that, we're getting here towards the end. I can't believe it's been an hour. I know,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
You said we want it longer.
It's kind of like my Thanksgiving meal.
Too short. Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining. We really appreciate you. Hopefully this brought some intentionality into the upcoming holidays and the way that you're going to be preparing and thinking about how do you get to this time of the year? How can you reflect? What are the things that you can do just to bring more love and compassion, not only to yourself, but to everyone around you? Because that's what we're here in this journey to do, just to bring more love and compassion to everything and everyone. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you guys for being here with me
Thank you
and
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
come in and see us. And big hug to everyone. And we'll see you the next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.